Cosmic horror is a vague and meaningless term when used solely to describe a fictional genre. However, when it is put in the right context, it gives a precise description of the metaphysical experiences of H.P. Lovecraft. Often viewed as a father figure of the Gothic genre, Howard's creations and their nature are seldom valued and understood for what they truly represent, since the masses fall short on the required occult experience one needs to have in order to grasp the meaning of his literature. For his own expeditions, astral intrusions, and empathic abilities gave Lovecraft knowledge of anomalies and science far beyond our spatial experience of time and dimension. Knowledge of ancient draconian dynasties and interstellar cults that are completely alien for the world and its populace of today. The entities that gave life to his stories like Thorhu, Nyarlathotep, and Azathoth, to name a few, and not just his interpretations of ancient deities who were both feared as well as worshipped, but they're also the subject of numerous occult undertakings, as well as entire systems that are based around the mythos of the works of H.P. Lovecraft. In this video, we will explore the occult significance of the work and experiences of H.P. Lovecraft. This by delving a bit deeper in a few selected topics, as well as some more practical esoteric matters with regards to energies and entities he evoked throughout his works. In the late 70s, at the dawning of the Satanic Panic, the first chapter of a series known as the Necronomicon was published by Avon Books. The sensational branding around the publishing of the book, as well as the mysterious unknown author behind the works and the question around its authenticity, were but a few causes of the book's notoriety. It has been common knowledge among occultists that the author of the series was Peter Levender, even though this has been denied by Levender himself. In the introduction of the book, it is stated that the author and his associates were approached by a monk who'd claimed to have the ancient grimoire in his possession, which is one of the leading themes in the entire Lovecraft mythos, called the Necronomicon. Apart from the self-proclaimed origins of the text, the first chapter echoes the same conclusions regarding the ancient occult mysteries that surround Lovecraft's life and work, from the unrivaled mystic known as Kenneth Grant. This will be further discussed later in this video. The chapters that follow contain the material of a grimoire that describe deities, rituals and pathworkings from an ancient Sumerian nature, as well as the testimony of the Mad Arab, a character of Lovecraft's works known as Abdul al-Hazard, who further denotes the dangers of the grimoire itself. The grimoire is built up in a very typical and standard way, and has many similarities to the O.T.O. in terms of outline, as well as the sigillification of the demons contained in it. The spirits are brought forward in an ancient Sumeric, pantheon-like way together with similar entities thereof, such as Chamot, Pazuzu and Amolilit. The pathworking, as well as a further explanation of the interstellar nature of the Necronomicon, continued in the second part of the series, called At the Gates of the Necronomicon, which was released decades later. Apart from the speculations on whether or not the content of this book, authentic or not, one cannot deny the controversies surrounding it, let alone the effects and influence it had, and still has on the occult scene. It is the topic of numerous murders, crimes and reports of supernatural activity all over the world. A topic which is discussed in one of its later chapters, called Dead Names. Both Simon's Necronomicon, as well as At the Gates of, have an interesting bibliography, containing books of Samuel Noah Kramer, E.A. Wallace Budge, and Messiah Eliade, each of them having released incredible works in the field of researching mythological roots. Many occultists have pointed out the Sumerian, as well as Egyptian links of the ancient and great old ones, especially the Simon Necronomicon, who contains an almost entirely Sumerian spirit catalogue, while At the Gates of Necronomicon is more focused on the interstellar aspect of the Lovecraftian mythos. It is very clear that his stories contain many cultural references to the Middle East as well as Egypt. He also referred to certain entities who dwell and exist between the spatial dimensions of time and space. The links with the ancient stellar cults are more than evident, but what is most striking is that his approach is almost similar to that of the Egyptian worldview under the Setian dynasties, if one notes the subtle unity between the stellar aspects as well as that of the Oneric realm. Lots of these cultural references are most evident in the names of the deities. For example, the name Cthulhu, who can be translated in the Sumerian language as Cthulhu, meaning man from the underworld, which at the same time has a Babylonian reference, noting that the concept of the underworld is extremely important in their mythology, which is closely linked with the mythology of the Sumerians. In his book The Faceless God, Tomás Vincenti gives a detailed outline of the Hebrew and numerical value of the name of Nyarlathotep and his evident links with Amenta, the realm of dead in the Egyptian mythology. The Typhonian current, established by Kenneth Grant, attaches a lot of importance on Lovecraft's works and experiences, since Grant himself discovered many close connections to the Necronomicon and the Egyptian god known as Set. In At the Gates of Necronomicon, for example, it is stated that when the Great Bear hangs from its tail in the sky, that the gates between this world and the interdimensional realms are opened. The Great Bear is a constellation in the asterism of the Big Dipper, which according to the Egyptian Book of the Dead is closely related with both Set and Amenta. In the Typhonian current, the tunnels that link the Qliphotic shells are widely known as the tunnels of Set by occultists around the world, and it is this realm and current that play crucial roles in the occult understanding of Lovecraft's life and work. The current by which Lovecraft's occult significance blossomed, and that spend the most accurate research on it, is known as the Typhonian tradition, an esoteric current established by Kenneth Grant. His detailed gnosis on the adversarial mystical schools of esotericism, as well as the surrealistic concepts, such as the Qliphotic and the Mo-Zone, provided him the perfect insight into the mysteries of the sinister currents that Lovecraft tapped into. For the anomalies that Lovecraft experienced were but the emissaries and abodes of the realms of the night side, or in Kabbalistic lore known as Sitra Achra. Kenneth Grant's magnificent research together with the Typhonian O.T.O, which is the occult organization he'd established, came to the conclusion that the etheric and astral fields of our existence were affected by intrusions of the other side. In his Typhonian trilogies, and especially in Outside the Circles of Time and Beyond the Mo-Zone, he gives a detailed explanation to this phenomenon and its symptoms, linking its cause to the dawning of nuclear war, after which a flood of events followed, such as the UFO craze, contact by, and with extraterrestrials, as well as the experiences of H.P. Lovecraft, According to Grant, Lovecraft channeled the same metaphysical current as Aleister Crowley did, of which Kenneth Grant was the former secretary before he created his own order. Only was Lovecraft not aware of this, while Crowley was doing this intentionally by the means of ritual and magical implementation. It is also known that Lovecraft had correspondence with Aleister Crowley during which they discussed the stories and experiences of Lovecraft, but it is stated by numerous sources that Lovecraft was not an occultist and was extremely skeptical of both the supernatural as well as faith in general. In The Magical Revival, Kenneth Grant gives a detailed outline of the connection between Crowley and Lovecraft, stating that the epicenter of Lovecraft's life and work was in fact the process of initiation, something which he didn't wanted to realize, and this denial was reflected in a number of existential tragedies, making Grant come to the conclusion that H.P. Lovecraft was overtaken by his dweller of the threshold, and so failing the ordeal of the abyss. As of today, Lovecraft's stories are seen as reports of direct communion with and gnosis of anomalies of the night side by many established occultists from around the world. Many of them, such as Kenneth Grant, Thomas Vincenti, and Peter Levender, to name a few, have made groundbreaking mystical research by his unique stories. His weird tales were direct portals into the mysteries of Sitra Achra, and through them its currents could spread its essence further into our existence. Even though indirectly, his work is oftentimes noted as well as used as source material by many archaeological sites and expeditions. There is a channel on YouTube called Mysterious Middle East that has many videos in which the connection between Lovecraft and ancient astronomical archaeology researched and discussed. Also is his life and work an inspiration for many artists, such as the mesmerizing art of H.R. Geiger, who made a tarot deck around the Necronomicon. H.P. Lovecraft might have been an atheistic mortal who failed the test of the abyss, but the current he channeled is of primal, ionic and interstellar nature, surpassing all possible boundaries of time and dimension.